Happy Friday, everybody. It's that time of the week where we do Ask Stephen Pope Any Question. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. It's my pleasure to help you guys all grow your sales on Amazon. First, just a quick announcement. We are hiring at My Amazon Guy. If anybody is looking for an international job, you can send your resume over to recruiting@myamazonguy.com. For US-based jobs, send your resume to jobs@myamazonguy.com. We're especially looking for extraverted, detail-oriented account managers to help us service our clients. We would love to hear from you if that fits your description. Got to know Seller Central though to make it happen. All right, let's dive in. So Rob says, when my team contacted SS, might be Seller Central, or even when they got approval for sponsored brand video, Amazon emails me, the account owner, rather than the person who opened the case. I have to forward those emails any way around this. So when you file a ticket, you can change the email address that's listed there, but there are certain types of departments and ticketing systems that when they get forwarded, they still go over to the owner of the account. So Rob, the only thing you can do there is ask the virtual assistant or whoever is working on that for you to switch the email address on the tickets when they file it, but save that. There's no solution beyond that. So in some of the ticketing formats, it does not allow you to edit that. You can add a CC, but beyond that, no further solution there. Michael says, hey, Stephen, I recently created a listing and forgot to set the launch date for far in advance. As a result, my listing for the past 15 days has been inactive, out of stock. I amended the listing today to a launch date in October. My listing is still showing as inactive, out of stock, but the date is fine. Well, I lose out on the honeymoon period? Probably not, because if you don't have a sale, it doesn't really kick in. So I think you'd be fine, Michael. But I would make sure that you have the lost dogs not found page when you click on the listing. If you haven't done that, besides the launch date, there is another date inside the system right next to that attribute. I'm actually looking it up right now because I forget the name of it. And you want to have both of those set in place. You go over to the more details section. I'm going to share my screen here. And you can find that in here. So under release date and launch date, put both of those out, and that will help you avoid having any damage to your potential honeymoon period. Rob also asks, it seems like brand registry is tied to my email and not to my account. When the team tries to make changes to listings, they're blocked by brand registry and I have to get involved. That's very likely the case, Rob. What you're going to want to do is make the main admin email address on the Seller Central account a brand registry user. So I have an article on how to add a user to brand registry. That'll probably help you out. I'm going to post the link to that in the comments section. I have 2 video tutorials on this as well. If you just Google add brand registry user plus My Amazon Guy, you should be able to find the video. So I think what you are missing, Rob, is just simply adding them as a user in there. Sonny asks, can Amazon change words on my title? For example, high quality was replaced by elegant automatically. When I called, they told me the change was made by me, but I never did it. I'm the only owner of the listing. First thing I would check is make sure you don't have duplicate SKUs on the back end of your Seller Central portal. Second thing I would check for is any automatic third-party APIs. Make sure you're not submitting data a different way. And then finally, I would look for submissions made in other countries. So if you sell in the US primarily, go check the template feed logs over in Canada. If you haven't loaded your product in Canada, but somebody else does, that could be the problem. So I would do a category listing export, see what the data looks like, do a template full update load to get the data corrected, and then I would load that data to Canada as your next step. Thomas says, for SEO purposes, do you recommend to use different backend keywords, front-end titles for Child-ASINs within the Parent-ASIN? This is a question I get from time to time. I actually don't know the impact that it could have, but generally speaking, depending on the parentage type, I would give you different answers. So if you're just having a different size of an item, I believe this will be inconsequential and it'll have probably no impact. But if you're doing like a style name variation where you have a very different type of product with different demographics, different targeting, then yes, it would make a lot of sense to do this. I do like to see similar titles in a parentage with the variation at the very far right end that is compliant with Amazon guidelines as well. But if you have a different feature in those variations, I would absolutely customize the titles without a doubt. When creating PPC campaigns for products with variations, you recommend a separate campaign for each child or just a separate ad group? Depends. This is a very variable type question. If you have the listing is very, very different, the more likely you're going to want to have a different campaign. If there's just a subtle change in the ad group, then that could be a different answer. So if there's like a color difference, then I would probably make an ad group instead of a campaign. If you're doing like black keywords in one, orange keywords in another. But when in doubt, make more campaigns. That seems to be the trend at this time. I sell holsters that fit a variety of different model handguns. Should I create a unique campaign for Glock and other ones, Remington, or one campaign with a unique and ad group for each? I would absolutely customize a campaign. I would segment the heck out of this. I think that the more segmentation you have, the better off the campaign structure is going to look, and you're going to have a lot better success with that. So I think segmentation is definitely in your future, Rob. I would spend a lot of time building up that segmentation. All right. We got a next question from Kamal Deep. I have recently launched my product, 200 units sold, but did not get any review. I am a new seller, did not even make $1 in profit. Any suggestions? So you could have a bad product. That'd be the first guess. Second guess would be make sure you keep in mind that you only have a 1% review conversion rate. That's standard. So if you sell 200 units, you only get 2 reviews. That'd be right on track, right on key. You could send an email requesting a review or click the request a review button. Make sure you do those things. That'll double your conversion rate to 2% from 1%. But that's still a pretty low percentage. It's not unusual to have low review counts. If you're not making money, though, you may not want to reorder the product. Bottom line, might have to raise prices. Those are challenging business decisions in your future. Flying Swine Seasonings. This is a current client. Hey, Joe. Steven, looking forward to another great show. Hope baby and mama still doing great. Yep, we do. We have family in town right now, and we are happy and healthy. 10 fingers, 10 toes, as they say. So everything's going well. Thanks for asking. Gulam says, just keep making the sales and build some sales velocity. Try to get some badges as soon as possible. After good placement, start increasing price. This is actually a valid strategy. I totally endorse this. What they mean by badges is the Amazon's Choice badge, as well as high velocity, like #1 seller, just launched badge. Those kinds of things can be very, very beneficial. But if you're not making money, it is a little challenging. Any good freight forwarder suggestions? I have 3 that I have on my list. I haven't looked at these in about 3 months. I have posted them before in chat. Did not hear any negative feedback. So let's see if I can find them on the fly. And right now, no matter who you choose, it's just going to be extremely expensive. It's just unfortunately one of those situations right now. All right, posting in the links here. Here are direct contact points for 3 freight forwarders, as well as Import Yeti. If you want to check out who other people are using for freight forwarders, you may find that of value. Anthony Fu says, is it possible for customers to leave a verified review if they bought my product using a 100% off discount code? I'm thinking about giving these away to my eBay customers. No, you have to have no more than 50% off to get a verified review, unfortunately. So 100% won't work, 50% only. Are we hiring internationally? Absolutely. We have a pretty solid international team, so we're always hiring, but we don't have a strong need at this time. So we're looking for very strong candidates on the international front. But if you want to get involved, and you can see on the description of today's video, I've got a link to where you can apply for an international job or a US-based job. We hire people that are designers. We hire PPC experts, catalog troubleshooters, merchandisers, copywriters, you name it. We hire them all. We have 80 employees at My Amazon Guy, and you can see some of our international jobs from all kinds of different angles. So if you're interested, send your resume for international jobs to recruiting@myamazonguy.com. We also will give you a little survey to see called the Culture Survey Index. It takes 5 minutes to fill that out. That gives us an idea of where your natural tendencies are, and that helps us place you within the organization where we think you'd be the best fit. Rob says, how do you keep track of changes you've made to your listing, swapping out back-end search terms, price adjustments, bullet points, experiments, etc.? So this is a great question. What I would recommend you do, Rob, is do a backup of your current template every 30 days. So you have to request access to the category listing export button. And they'll only give you access for 7 days at a time, which is silly. But after you have access to that, you can back it up, date it. You could write down what changes you made from then, and then the next day you make your changes, and then you can track it a little bit better. The key here is adding annotations as well as backing up the data. That's the really important part. Jay says, hi, Stephen. Amazon is allowing 10 bullet points. I wouldn't do it. For some accounts to allow and some for not, based on category. It generally is based on category. I really think 10 bullet points will look kinky. Won't look good at all. I would not recommend them. Abdullah, thanks for being a member of our channel. If you want to join our channel, we do try and prioritize questions from members, give them a little bit more answer and meat and potatoes on them. Go over to My Amazon Guy's YouTube channel at youtube.com/myamazonguy. Just click on that join button. I launched a new product and sold 200 units. I sent requests for review to all eligible, made that lovely thank you card, and even mentioned a free gift at only 1 rating. What is the problem? There really isn't a problem. That is literally the conversion rate that we typically see, right around 1%. So you're at half a percentage, which is literally 1 review off of 1%. So it's really nothing you're doing wrong. It is just that low. That's how many people like to leave product reviews. There's just not a lot of incentive for people to do it. They don't want to. Daniel says, I see you have solved the A+ content riddle for blurry images. Please help me out. Actually, I have not solved this. I'm not sure which video you're referencing. It is a question that I've gotten about 30 times over the last 2 years. And so what we tend to tell people is just keep trying to edit the image and reload it to see if it helps. But seriously, I don't actually have 100% known issue on this. But it drives our designers crazy, as well as our clients, unfortunately. So don't know a solution. If anybody does know the solution to the blurry images in A+ content, please do pipe up. It could be the resolutions just being dropped down by Amazon, and there might not be a solution. Yarrow says, hi, Stephen. What's the best and cheapest way to deliver product from the U.S. warehouse to Amazon FBA warehouse? So my recommendation would be to use pallets, LTL, with a partner carrier with Amazon if you're scaled. If you don't have enough to fill a single pallet, then I would go UPS partner carrier case packed and try and fill as many units into a case pack as you can. Just don't go over 25 inches. I have a video where I talk about the 25-inch guideline with everything you need to know about packaging and all of those standards. There's a lot of different fees structured about that. So here's the video on that one. And you want to avoid going over 25 inches. So I just put the video link for that one. Feel free to check that one out. Yarrow, that has some good info in it for shipping. But keep in mind that the freight carriers that are partners of Amazon will be way more affordable than you trying to arrange your freight yourself. So I like LTL if you're sending in at least a pallet of goods under 1,200 pounds and below 72 inches. You can fit that all into a single pallet. Costs you about $120 on average. Abdallah says, what's the best number of days after delivery to send a request for review? Some say 10. What do you think? Because Amazon has limited your capacity to communicate with clients, I think that you only get one shot at this nowadays. You can't send like a follow-up drip email, unfortunately. So I would say probably 3 days would be my number one pick, would be right after they've got the item and they've might have had a chance to use it. But 10's not a bad idea. What we used to do 2 years ago before they started limiting everything is we'd send one upon delivery, we'd send one 7 days later and 14 days later. But you no longer can do a drip email campaign and be compliant. Yarrow asks, if I would like to update the deposit method, is it enough to drop a note to SS 1 to 2 days in advance just to do it just after payment? What should I consider? So I'm trying to understand this question a little bit. So what I would recommend is update the deposit method right after the deposit is made. If you do it anywhere from 5 days coming up to a deposit, they will flag that as a security risk and they may just take it away. And they may even like temporarily block you from your account. I've seen that happen many dozens of times. So if you wait 1 or 2 days until after the deposit's cleared, safe to make any deposit changes, no problem at all. All right. Do I have to get a resale certificate for every state I send inventory to for Amazon FBA for my supplier to not assess taxes on my purchase? I already have one for my state. No, I would just tell them hey, you're only nexus in one state. Just defend to the death. That's the only state you're nexus in, and they should alleviate that. Some suppliers, though, are just pains in the butt, and they're like, well, you're making a shipment into California, and you only have your resale certificate in Georgia, so we're going to charge tax. So if a warehouse supplier is doing that to you, what I would suggest is open up your own 3PL in your own state and just ship everything there. You're going to double ship some things, but it would solve your tax problem and probably be. Plus, it's not a bad idea to have a 60-day supply of your own goods outside of FBA. Will make a big benefit. That way you don't have to stay up at night wondering if you're going to be able to replenish your supply. You got control of it. So that is something you should do to scale your future. But if you can't win that, I would still try and push them and say, hey, we're only nexus in one state. Iona says, hi, Stephen. I recently trademarked my brand using my Amazon guy. Thank you. You're very welcome. Appreciate that. Problem is, my ASINs are not linking to my brand dashboard, even though the brand name is identical. How do I fix this? Two problems usually are what's at stake here. The first is you haven't loaded UPCs. So check the data. If on the back end, you don't see the UPC attribute filled in, and instead you filled in the ASIN attribute, switch it to UPC with a full template upload, and that should solve the problem for you. And then that second tip I just gave you, even if the UPC is filled in, go ahead and do a full template upload. The second problem will be solved by a full template upload as well. And it's usually just that Amazon just needed a refresh in the data system. If you have the brand store not built yet, I would also advise that. That would be very, very important. The brand store, if it's not linking correctly, check for spelling and proper case. Whenever you have a trademark that's even off by the capitalization, you need to have an exact match. So if you have an all caps trademark and on Amazon you have proper case, so here's proper case right there. Imagine all of this was in all caps. That would not link correctly, and you will have to get some brand name changes conducted. We have filed more than 400 trademarks. We file about 45 of them a month, so I need to update this. And very, very popular service for us. And so if you guys are interested, go over to myamazonguy.com, click on our service dropdown, go over to trademarks. We do file them in both US and Canada. The only reason you would need a Canada trademark is if you want to get rid of hijackers in Canada. Most people just get the US trademark from us. We'll have your trademark filed within 1 day. We have about 25 different FAQs on everything related about trademarking and brand registry on Amazon. This question about trademarking and brand registry comes up literally every single episode that we shoot. It is very, very popular. Everybody wants to get in on the action there, so check it out. The other thing I'd mention, if you have an issue with your brand name, need to change your brand name, we also have a service for that. I will put a link into the chat for brand name changes. So check that out if you need it. It is on the expensive side. And we just launched a new chat bot. So if you're curious about our services, or if you just want to help us out and break our chat bot, you can come in here and just type in something like trademark. And what do you know? They send you everything we have. Well, I apparently named myself trademark there. Let's try that again. Now I'm typing in trademark TM. You can see all the information we have about trademarks, all of our video content. So if you're ever wondering, if we offer a service, we now have a chatbot. This launched just yesterday, in fact. Go over and type it in, and it'll get you to where you need to go. All right. Yarrow says, do you put any inserts into your product or nothing at all? Right now, I think inserts are very dangerous, and I do not. I think that it's safe to put product inserts in as long as they don't talk about reviews, but I'm very cognizant of the fact that Amazon does not want you to own your own customer on Amazon. So anything that you would do that push them to your website is risky right now. I think it's totally fine to have some branded information about your product, stuff like that, but do not ask for reviews. Do not incentivize reviews. If you receive a product where they offer you $10 to leave a review, I hope you report them, because we need to get rid of fake incentivized reviews and level the playing field. How to change the variation shown on a Parent-ASIN. So we have about 12 different technical videos on parentages. So depending on what you're trying to accomplish, we actually launched a video less than last 7 days about switching the parentage type from, say, color to color and size. That might be the video you're looking for. I'm going to share my screen here. And so I just typed in parentage into the channel. So here's a parentage hack video on how to switch parentage theme. That might be what you're looking for. So parentage theme video, I'll put that in chat right there. And if you're looking for how to change like the variation name, this video is still valid for that. You would just come into the variation attribute. So let's say you did color, you would just switch the color in the template and load it. You cannot change the variations or parentage without doing a template upload. Very key there. Must do a template upload. We have other variations and parentage videos like what's phantom parentage, everything you need to know about the child variations, and I explain all that. And there's a bunch of other things that can come up with parentage. So a lot of video content around that. Dr. Kaz, thanks for being a member. How's the family doing with the new edition? Well, Adam is doing great, coming up here on a month old now, and healthy and happy baby at home. So we actually have family in town right now, and we're going to do a baby blessing on Sunday. So it's going to be fantastic. So thank you for asking. I got a bogus copyright infringement from a competitor. Amazon pulled down the image. Is it really easy to have a photo taken down? Scary. Yeah, it's a little tricky, but the good news is if somebody reports you and you win, they actually will have that on their record of losing a copyright, and they will have less chance of getting it taken down on somebody else. So people that make erroneous claims will be shut down. That's the good news. So what you can do with any copyright claim is you could look at when your listing was created and counter contest it and say, hey, look, my listing was up before theirs. So how could there be a copyright claim? Additionally, you could just edit the image a little bit and kind of work around that. But if you are sharing any image assets, like maybe the manufacturer provided both of you a base image, that gets a little bit more tricky. And that's where you might want to take your own image photography. Lucas says, hey, Steven, what's the best strategy to sell out of inventory with minimal cost if the product has a low review rating? So liquidation strategies come up from time to time. I actually think liquidation is very problematic on Amazon. Amazon just released a new ability to sell your inventory to bidders. I would definitely recommend checking that out. It's fairly easy to do, only takes a couple of clicks. You're obviously only going to get pennies on the dollar, but any liquidation strategy is pretty much equivalent. I have personally talked to and interviewed probably 10 liquidation outlets over the last couple of years. They all stink. They're all difficult to work with, and you all have to basically get bids for them, and they're going to give you 5 cents on the dollar. So you might as well destroy the inventory or give it away. Don't wait, don't delay, just get rid of it. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast. Nylon says, I created a parentage listing with a launch date in August. When I go to the listing, it doesn't show the product grid yet with all of the options. Is that normal? Or did I potentially do something wrong? So you did nothing wrong. Until the item is in stock, you will only see the variation that is the quote unquote oldest brother. Or in other words, which one alphabetically shows up first. So depending on how you named your attributes, for example, if you did blue and red, for example, blue would show up 100% of the time until both blue and red are in stock. So you didn't do anything wrong. As long as the data is connected on the back end, you're good to go. Elegant says, is HTML used in a listing banned? I'm about to launch my first product. Can I use it in my listing? We did a video about an update to HTML. They are making some adjustments on the policies here. You can still use break line codes, but you can no longer use bullets. So you can, and I don't remember off the top of my head whether you can use bolding anymore, but you can no longer use bullet ones. So here is our update on HTML updates. I'll put a video in the link for you. Those product descriptions must be code-free by July 17th, according to that update. But we did see Amazon kind of clarify that break line codes are okay. Gulam says, do you have any experience with Walmart? Yes, we do. I own mywalmartguy.com as well. We've launched a few products and they have gone superb. What would your strategy to rank on Walmart? So I don't necessarily think Walmart is a good fit for most people. It is a lot of work for a little gain. But for those that are interested, we can launch you on Walmart. Cost to do that, $1,000. We'll take care of everything. We could also just run your PPC setup or get through your WFS application, or other setups and submissions. But a lot of people just hire us to launch the products. We have a lot of success with Walmart, but 95% of our business is Amazon focused, just like our clients. And from my experience, when you launch on Walmart, it'll do less than 5% of what you do on Amazon. I'm very surprised by that. It's taken years. Walmart is climbing and trying to catch up, but they're still so far behind. So things you can do: get your A+ content ported over to Walmart, fill in all of the data and the attributes, make sure everything is optimized, photos, anything that you would do on Amazon, do it on Walmart as well. There are no special hacks, nothing like that on the Walmart platform. Jay asks, for brand registry, if business name and the name by which the trademark is registered is different, then can we enroll in brand registry? 100%. That's Jay, this is a common question I get, but your business and legal entity is never public facing to anybody. So you could have the LLC 123, and you could have brand name ABC, or you could have 20 different brand names all owned by the same legal entity. Totally fine. So when you go file for brand registry, you don't actually give them any of your legal documents in reference to your legal company. What you do give them is simply just the trademark registration number. That's it. And the brand name. So you really don't have to worry about any of those challenges. Yarrow says, do you know the app which would send a push button on your phone for every sale you make on Amazon? Quite frankly, the seller app is the one I would use. So if you just go into an app program, Play Store on Google or Apple Store, you want to look for the one that's called Amazon Seller. It's got a little seller badge on it with the letter A. That one will tell you every time you get a sell. That specially works for merchant fulfilled, though. It does not necessarily ping you for FBA, but you can configure it a little bit. Do you know? I think we just answered that one. Scuda says, what is the purpose of running an Amazon business as an LLC versus individual seller? What changes if I change my entity LLC and the equivalent of the LLC in other countries? Well, it's about hiding your personal information, and as well as having a legal entity that protects you from, let's say if one of your products, damages something or someone, maybe somebody gets ill, somebody dies, unfortunately, it'll put a layer in for protection that the company is at fault instead of you as the individual. So the larger you get, the more likely that the LLC is going to make sense. I would say if you're going to do $250,000 in the year in gross sales, there's 100% chance you should convert to a public entity, LLC, S Corp, or otherwise, 100%, because there's just so many things that can happen when you're running a business. By the way, nothing changes in the Amazon ecosystem other than your information will just update. That's it. Anthony says, will you ever reveal how much this channel is making? So the channel itself literally makes maybe $200 a month. I don't optimize ads on any of my listings. I think I have ads on like 3 videos. That's it. And then the member support, which is fairly new. Very small amount, not making money in the channel. That's not why I'm doing this. Instead, the channel's purpose is to help the Amazon community become more generally recognized. Tika Metrics put out its podcast list this week, and we were ranked number 4, 4th best Amazon podcast out of a list of 80. And so that general awareness helps us greatly for the agency. Agency has 80 employees, 160 clients. I don't reveal publicly what the revenue is for the company, but you can say that, obviously what we're doing works. And you can see that when a marketing strategy that allows me to create content like this, I don't do any outbound sales. So I put my father in charge of the sales funnel at my Amazon guy, and he, all day long is talking to people like you about our services. And so because I give to the community, you guys watched 15, 20 of my videos. I help you solve a problem, save you 20 hours, whatever it might be. By the time you get on the phone with us, you're already sold. You already want to give back, right? It's the Gary V strategy. And so that's why I have this channel. So it's not about making money on the channel. It's about promoting the agency and giving back to the community. So we share all of our trade secrets. We answer any questions that come up, and we just tell everybody how we can do things. For 80% of the people, that's all they're going to do. For the 10 or 20% that say, hey, now that was great, you told us about that, now we want to hire you for a service, that's the reward mechanism for us. So hopefully that gives you some answer to your curiosity. If you are going to try and make Anthony, I think if you asked some related questions to this before, maybe starting an agency, something like that, if you want to make money creating content about Amazon on a YouTube channel, it will require you to have about 20,000, 50,000 subscribers, the pennies on the click on the ads. And so you're gonna have to build a lot of content, get a lot of followers. That's not our model though. Mikkel says, how to report sellers if they offer money in exchange for reviews. There's two ways to do that. The first would be to do it through the buyer account and take a picture of it, send it to Amazon, report them. The second way would be through the Seller Central portal and use report a violation in the seller settings drop down for a case. All right. I lost my place here in the questions list. There's quite a few in the queue here. Rahul says, hi. Oben says, cheers. Gulam says, seller siren might be what you're looking for. I think that's the phone application with information about your sales. Raid says, hi, Stephen. What are the peak hours for PPC when bids are higher? Between noon and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I would say that the highest time is probably 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from my experience. Hopefully that's helpful. Raul says, what is Seller Flex? I do not know. I have no idea. Anybody know anything about Seller Flex? Feel free to put it in the comments. Any difference between Seller Flex and Easy Ship? Honestly, never used either of them. I do not know. If anybody has any comments, feel free to add it. Even if you're watching this on the replay and you know anything about Seller Flex or Easy Ship, leave a comment. Raul will come back and look for the answers. Trashar, good to see you again. I have listings in which I have information populated, but I have not inputted anything into flat files nor into managed inventory edit. Examples include compatible models or lining. So Trisha, I'm not sure okay, so you have listings with information populated, but you've not put anything in. So anybody at Amazon's catalog team can put information in as well as other sellers. So those are things that can happen to combine the data. That can happen. If you want to overwrite it, you can do so, but it's difficult to delete and replace with nothing. So you might have to overwrite it. Even after updating the correct info, the listing will show the bad info. So this is case in point. This is the catalog team at Amazon overwriting your data with their own submissions. You just need a ticket through brand registry to get them to update it. Brand registry ticket, not a seller support ticket. Go into brand registry to ticket to get a detailed page change made. I've tried inputting into different backend fields. Nothing seems to correct the bad info. So again, you need a brand registry ticket 100%. My product sells for 50 pounds, Mark. I only do 2 sales per day with PPC, sometimes 3 sales and without PPC. I'm still selling 2 or 3 per day. I'm on page 1 for a majority of my keywords. So you're selling a higher ticket item, probably in the UK, if I had to guess, based on the pounds mark. And so what would I advise stopping PPC? So it depends what your goals are. So if you're happy with your sales velocity and you're already ranked, then you may not need to run PPC. But if you want to acquire new customers, I would never turn off PPC. I think PPC is always important, always be advertising. But if you want to ride your product into the sunset and you're all about profit and you don't care if 6 months from now you're not making money further, you just want the profit now, then by all means, turn off PPC. But generally speaking, you want to spend about 11% of your gross sales on PPC because that will keep the item acquiring new customers and growing your traffic. Any pointers for optimizing Amazon titles? 100%. So if we go over to Amazon and we'll look at a title together, if anybody wants to post their own ASIN and they want anybody to review it with them, I'd be happy to do so. So here's an item. I recently purchased this myself. So we got a quick set item, very, model numbers right there. And so sometimes with hyper technical products, tools, home improvement, model numbers are really important. That's why they've put it so early on in the title here. But if we just looked at this and try to figure out, like, how do we optimize this title further? They are very, very technical. They talk about the keypad, the deadbolt, and featuring a smart key security. But, and then they have traditional Venetian bronze for the color. The question is how is somebody going to find this listing? That's what you want to focus on for the title. So is somebody going to type in keyless entry keypad into Amazon and that's how they're going to find it? So let's just see what happens. So if we type in keyless entry keypad. Do we see their product show up? And as we scroll down, I'm going to type in Kwikset here. I think I'm spelling that correctly. I don't believe that they're showing up with that particular model, but they do have this one right there. And then they do have other ones. I think that's the one we're looking at. Yeah, that looks like the same one. So point in case, what you put in your title will help you organically rank. So what we would do next is we'd look at the keyword rankings of this product as well as 10 competitors and try and see what keyword vernacular matters to the consumer base. Look at the impression counts, optimize towards where the highest of volumes are, and really try and laser in. So this particular company is only advertising on 167 keywords, but they're indexing for 5,100, very mature listing. I would like to see the sponsor keywords be a 1-to-2 ratio. For every 2 keywords index, 1 keyword advertised on, generally speaking. So they're under advertising. So if anybody knows anybody that works over at Kwikset, send them a copy of this video. Tell them, hey, you could make more money if you just spent more on your ads. But if we sidestep that and go back to the original question for titles, we can see here door lock, smart lock. These are the core things that people are high volume search terms. So generally speaking, we'd probably want to make sure we have these phrases inside of the title. So keyless entry door lock, 75,000 search volume, they're organically ranked 18. So one thing that we could do to move them from slot 18 though, would be to get an exact match on the title. So if we do a control F on the listing, notice how the title does not have an exact match for that. But scroll down, see how many competitors have exact match for that? That's because they're chasing that keyword impressions. So we could look at the competitor data here and ascertain like what would be better in the title based on search volume, based on what we think we'll convert on, and update the title accordingly. So as you scroll down, the volumes drop off pretty fast, you know, and you got smart key and door lock security, and there's all kinds of keywords. You have to be picky and choosy on what's going to go into that title and experiment. You can run some A/B tests, see what converts best, what indexes best, and whatnot. Yaro says, any recommendations on the financing of stock for Q4? I can't tell you how many different financing options have popped up over the years for Amazon. I have a third-party page where I put other people's products. We don't necessarily endorse these services, but we're familiar with them and we don't have anything against them. Services that are at the top here, I'm a huge fan. And then services that they go farther down, I'm just generally aware of them. So payability would probably be one I would say you might want to check out. I'm looking at the list here there's a CrewMe, they can finance things. Payability, they can finance things. I think those might be the biggest ones that I'm aware of, but there's a few others. I can't remember what Jubal is. That one also might be a finance option as well. But you can see some information about some of these services that may come in handy for your own business. You can check them out at myamazonguy.com. Just go to the footer and look for third-party services or click on the link that I just posted in chat. Dr. Kaz asks, hey, Pope, curious, how much of your business supports Amazon aggregator brands? Is it a market you are targeting? So this is an interesting question. I own the website AmazonAggregators.com, and this was a hedge against, I didn't know, like there's so much money entering the space right now. So if we scroll down to the bottom of my footer here, I have Amazon aggregators linked. Tremendous amounts of information about the aggregators for those that are curious. I've made more than a dozen videos. I've interviewed Thrasio on the podcast. I've interviewed Perch on the podcast. A lot of good information. Thrasio, 1.75 billion in the last 660 days. Perch, they just raised another 775 million. So if you were to total all the money that's entering the space right now, it's close to $3.2 billion just in the last year alone. I have documented all of these aggregators. Some of them are current customers of our business. We don't reveal which ones because they like their privacy, but yes, some of them are. Are they the future of my business? Probably not. The more I've gotten to know the aggregators, I think that the mom and pop shops out there, the $1 million brands, are a better customer set for me personally, as well as our business. If you're an aggregator watching this, that doesn't mean I'm going to turn your business away. It just means that I know that you're not going to sign up for full service where we manage everything on your company, right? We're not going to do all PPC, SEO, design, and catalog for aggregators because most aggregators are buying 20 or 50 brands, rolling them up and building their internal team. their model actually would take away from our business model. And so because of that, I don't think they're our future. I think that the mom and pop brands will always have a special place in my heart. And we may be the last agency standing servicing people like you, Dr. Cos. Any recommendations on financing? We did that one. Let's scroll down. Where's the next question? Gulam says, what are your suggestions about people who don't have a good budget to start FBA private label? What other model would you suggest? So far, I've been doing WS FBA for clients, and we're over 400. So I would say you need to launch two SKUs to do well in private label. Launch 3 if you can. $3,000 investment minimum per product you want to launch for private label. Every 3 products you launch, 1 is going to fail completely. The second is going to break even. And the third is the successful one that you'll reorder. So if you use that math, invest $9,000 into private label, the third product will be the moneymaker to make it happen. And so for those that don't have the budgets, it's going to be problematic because you need to spend money on ads. You got to spend money on cost of goods. Got to buy product off Alibaba with a minimum order quantity, usually around 1,000 quantity. And so it just becomes really problematic to do this without a budget. I would generally coach somebody out of doing Amazon FBA private label if they don't have at least $3,000 that they could literally throw into the wind and never see again for a single product. And Amazon FBA is not passive income. It is a lot of work, grueling amounts of work. And so you got to treat it like an investment and a business. And if you don't, you're going to regret it. Raid says, hi, Stephen. What are the peak hours? I think we did that one. What are your suggestions about people who, I guess I'm scrolling up here. I apologize for the double questions. Which is it self-making over 1 million sales a month and now going to start a new brand name? What strategy you suggest to strat a clothing brand? So if you already got $1 million in sales a month, you got lots of capital to potentially work with, dump it back in, and you want to launch a new brand in clothing. So what I would do is I would find a niche extension to your current clothing brand. Maybe you target women. Maybe you want to keep targeting women. Maybe you want a men's brand to diversify your portfolio. Maybe you have something where you sell jackets, and so April and March is your big months, and so now you want to launch a coat line so you have winter sales as well. Maybe you do really well except in the months of May through September, and so you're going to launch a swimming suit line. It really depends on where you're trying to go with your brands. And so if you want to extend into a new brand, I would find something that you could create a lifestyle brand after. Clothing generally does best with lifestyle brands. I've worked for many clothing brands, including women's plus size clothing, and their Christmas seasons are not next to December typically. It's usually when weather is positive. People go out and buy new clothes, and so your Christmas is March and April. And if a late winter comes in and knocks you off your feet, can be very problematic. So you got to solve for a lot of these components and build a clothing brand that meets your criteria. The more money you invest in lifestyle, images, photography, communication, solving problems of your current clientele, the better off you're going to be when you're launching a clothing brand. Scooter says, thank you for the answer. Can Amazon buy my brand? I see competitors in my niche that are sold by Amazon. Yes, but there's not a way to contact them to acquire your brand. They will reach out to you if they're interested. They do have an acquisitions team. But if you want to sell your brand, you got a couple options. You can work with a broker like Quiet Light Brokerage. Talk to Walker or Joe. Let them know that Stephen Pope sent you their way. We're very friendly with them. We have them on our podcast all the time. I come on theirs. Great people. You could also sell directly to an aggregator, and I can introduce you to one if you so choose. Just go over to amazonaggregators.com. Let me know what the size of your company is and a link to your brand store. I can introduce you to an aggregator that I think will be the best fit to give you the best bang for the buck. You are going to want to shop around and see who can give you the best bang for the buck, though. Certain aggregators, though, will waste your time and lowball you. So I only introduce you to people that I know will treat your brand correctly. Dental says, do you have experience with OfferUp or Google Express? It's been many years since I've done anything similar to those services. So no, don't really have a lot of experience there. Jeffrey says, are you hiring for part-time positions or only full-time? Unfortunately, we just love full-time positions. We find it so the number one problem I have as a company owner is managing people. The moment you add more people, but then they work different hours and part-time, it increases my complexity. So for those reasons, we generally don't hire part-time. I'm super sorry about that. we really need full-time assets and members of our team. Raid says, thanks a lot. You're very welcome. Gulabertro, I just butchered your name. I apologize. What is your experience in the UK market? Worth it? Any advice? So in order of operations, the US market, gigantic. Canada does about 7% of sales of the US market. Do Canada before you go to Europe. In Germany, I've seen people do anywhere from 10 to 35% of their US-based sales. Germany's the hot market. Start there. The UK is about the same size of Canada, 7% of your US-based sales from my experience. The complications you're going to have when you go international is the vernacular changes. Things like coupon in the United States is called a voucher in the UK. Things like trash can are called bins and rubbish in the UK. So you're going to have to update your vernacular. You're going to have to learn how to market subtle things. Humor does not translate well. Like, I don't know if anybody of you guys have watched stand-up comedians in the UK and then watched stand-up comedians in the US. Completely different stand-up routines. Humor will not translate. So same thing with marketing messages. They simply don't translate culture boundaries. So you got to be very cognizant to customize that. Constant says, do you need a lawyer to get brand registry? No, you do not. You could file your own trademark yourself. You don't need a lawyer for that. However, if you are going to hire somebody to file your trademark, I advise that you make sure that they are using a trademark lawyer, which we do. So if you want to hire us, $775, we will file your trademark in under 1 business day. You can get fully brand registered in under 7 days. We have a full guide that we send you. Every step, every bug, every component, problem, consistency issue that you can have with your brand registry. We will send you all of that information if you order a trademark from us. I'll put that into trademark order into the chat here if you're interested. Johnny says, hey, how much should I put on my daily PPC budget? What is considered as too much? 11% of your gross sales. Anything higher than that, then you're above average on the amount of money you spend on PPC. If you're doing more than 20%, you're probably throwing money into fire pits right now. 11% is the baseline. Chase 11% tacos. 11% of every dollar you generate on Amazon should go right back in to PPC spend. If you're not hitting your daily budget, that's because your bids are low and there's not enough impressions to give you everything. So daily PPC budget, dollar figure, completely dependent on your goals and everything else. So many variables to that question, Johnny. I'd have to look at your account with you to see if you're overspending. But if you're looking for a way to cut costs, the first thing you should do, go to your auto campaigns and start negating bad terms. So for example, I have a beer glass here. This is the way on it. And if somebody was looking for a wine glass and they found my product in PPC for a beer glass, chances are they're not going to buy it. So I probably want to negate words like wine glass, unbreakable, plastic, acrylics, things like that. Those are things I would negate from all of my auto campaigns. Raid says, what are your criteria for selecting a product to launch on Amazon? Number one, I need to understand it. Forget the data. There are a lot of great tools. I'm a big fan of Helium 10. I have an affiliate code to get 50% off. You can use the code MyAmazonGuy if you want to check them out. I like Jungle Scout. There's many other tools that have come out. And basically use what you understand first, then back it up with the data. So what you're going to want to do, you know, like I played in national chess tournaments when I was growing up as a kid. And so if I wanted to launch a chess set right now, I would have a huge competitive advantage. Now, I'm not selling chess sets because there's so many people selling chess sets. The data would tell me to avoid it. But if I was going to try and sell something like dental floss and I'm not a dentist, I'm going to be at a huge disadvantage. And so what I would say, Raid, is pick a product that you understand, you're knowledgeable about, that you could right now tell me everything about the target demographic. So if you're selling a toothbrush and you said my target demographic was anybody with teeth, I would laugh at you. That is a terrible demographic explanation. One of my favorite metaphors I use from time to time, throws people off, it's a little strange, is who is the target demographic of somebody that is going to purchase a Russian mail order bride? Very odd scenario, I realize, but it's a fun, memorable experiment, thought exercise. So if you think about it, the answer to that question is not anybody that needs a wife. It's not a 20-year-old person. They're not going to be ordering a Russian mail order bride. So as you start to think through the series of questions that lead you to the correct answer, the answer is a 3-time divorced truck driver. That is who is going to order a Russian mail order bride. So once you understand that, you're better off selling and marketing to that customer base. So Raid, pick something that you understand that you can go that deep on polarizing the audience. Keep in mind, your job as a marketer is to profile people and to understand how and what makes them tick. If you can't profile your target audience, don't do it. You need to know. Got a little fire symbol from Oben. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hope you're enjoying today. We got a lot more questions to get to. Let me see if I can scroll down and find the next one. Anthony says, do you think the supply chain will return to pre-COVID by the end of next year? Looking like no. The supply chain was so wrecked. It's such in a bad shape. Could it recover like 20%, 50%? Maybe. Definitely not 100%. This is a 5-year cycle, in my opinion. I think the supply chain is going to remain in shambles for 2 to 3, maybe 4 more years. 5 years before it gets back to 100%. Not a lot of people saying that right now, but I'm bearish on that question. Dr. Cos says, I predict an aggregator will buy MAG. Well, if they have a lot of cash and they want to, they can reach out to me. Probably not, though. I don't think I want to sell. I am so inclined to continue building and doing what we're doing. I'm investing in technology. We're going to become a SaaS company. I have no reason to sell. We are in such great shape. But maybe I will buy an aggregator. Maybe I'll buy a brands. Maybe that will be what happens, Dr. Cos. Justin says, do you wear the black hat because you're bald? Yes, that is truth. Yes, I do. 4 kids under 4. And you can see I'm going towards the Homer Simpson, pull the hair out the longer I go. And so I keep my hair short because I don't have to spend time getting it done. And absolutely wear the hat because I'm a balding man, Justin. So let me know what you think. Do I look better with the hat or do I look better without it? Let me know what you think in the comments section. You won't hurt my feelings either way. Old Hickory says, I have a company to Amazon with lots of SKUs and production challenges. How do you decide which SKUs to prioritize first with little info on Amazon and existing listings are poorly optimized? Focus on the top sellers first, 80-20 that all day long. You want to focus on the top SKUs before you work on the other ones. So like, for example, Libby makes glass. And right now, supply chain's a wreck. So what they're doing is they're focusing on their core SKUs. They're going to focus on Pilsner beer glasses, and they're going to focus on 15-ounce size wine glasses like that one on the shelf up there next to the Coke bottle that you can't quite see. And so focusing on top sellers, definitely the way to go when you have problems and challenges. Now, with that said, you want to make sure you don't ignore the other listings. Perhaps one of the things you're going to do, though, is 80-20 it. Make sure they have 6 photos, a video, PPC, campaign structure, A+ content. Start with the basics. Once you've done all the basics, then try and do some A/B tests. Try and improve the listings further. What do you think about Prosper Show 2021? Is it a must go or not? Depends on your goals. If you want to network, Prosper Show is where things are happening. If you want to source new goods, there are some incredible opportunities to find new sources, manufacturers at the Prosper Show. If you're looking to learn more about selling on Amazon, I would not go to the Prosper Show. These speeches are circuit speeches. They are the same speeches they give at all of the other shows. You will not learn something new about Amazon, most likely, that you couldn't locate from YouTube by yourself or going to a webinar or subscribing to a podcast. So big fan of Prosper Show. I know the people that put it on. I would definitely be a speaker to that show should they ever invite me. But I would not go to learn about selling on Amazon. I would go there to meet other Amazon sellers. That is the top reason you would want to go if you're going to go to the Prosper Show. If you can't come up with a reason why you would want to meet other Amazon sellers, don't go. Raid says, can we take the average of the sponsored ranks for the same ASIN when downloading the sheet from H10 for different times, 4 different times a day, for the best practice to get keywords for PPCs and rank? You could. So Raid, you're asking a very technical, quantifiable, deductive question there. And the more ingrained into the data sets you get, the more likely you're going to find data worth mining. What I would say, though, is that optimizing for time of day or day of week is not working for any of the agencies right now. I've talked to many of them. Nobody is actively using that as a strategy because it doesn't work. Mondays and Sundays, best day of the week to sell on Amazon, bar none. Almost no category bucks that trend. Fridays and Saturday, weakest day of the week to sell on Amazon. Does that mean shut off your ads on the weekends on Fridays and Saturdays? No. because people will see the product on Friday, but they'll purchase on Monday. That's the problem. And so you can't really optimize for those questions. But yes, I would run some tests. I think that if you manage to the ACOS and taco skulls, you'll figure out where you want to put your money. Hey, Pope, I have a product I was first in. Now Chinese sellers have come to drive price down. I need to offload the product as I have a large volume on hand. My question is, what strategy would you recommend to offload the product? Just drop price, coupon, increase PPC? Yeah, I would lower the price for sure. And then I would maybe try and tailor focus your PPC and be very targeted on what you're chasing. Liquidation strategies, there's just really no right answer. It's really problematic. It's very troubling. But if you're selling like 15, 20, 50 units a day, then just right into the sunset and probably stock out by December would be my guess. In the above question, I was referring to WS FBA. We wholesale FBA. We're over 400 products to our Seller Central, making over 1 million. Got it. So I'm not as familiar with WS FBA. There's a lot of different programs. But what I would say is, yes, I would recommend that you take a portfolio of your products out and private label them yourselves. Without a doubt, find your top products that you're wholesaling right now and make your own brand out of them. And 80-20 that question. So 20% of your current wholesale portfolio could become the brand that you launch. Start with 3 products and work your way up. What profit margin is too low to worth pursuing? One of my ASINs is selling at 15 to 20%. I think 15 to 20% is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. It's manageable. If it's net profit minus everything else, it just depends. So the higher volume you are, the lower net profit you can experience and be fine. But the high ticket items could be lower volume, higher profit. So you could choose which of those two that you would prefer. Personally, I like low net profit, high volume. I prefer that scenario. I think it's easier, but that's not, everybody doesn't like to do that. So if you're selling $50 items, you'd be happier with a 25, 30% net profit, lower volume. Tandis, thank you for being a member of our channel. If wanting to diversify off Amazon, what platforms do you recommend to start with? eBay, 100% number 1. Walmart, number 2. Etsy, number 3, doesn't work for all categories. Shopify, once you have all of those done in that order. Johnny says, what do you think about the UAE market? So we are so hyper-focused on the U.S. market. We think the opportunity to grow in the U.S. market is still gigantic, and we don't really go outside of that because of that. And the reason for that is take the keyword Mother's Day gift, for example. There were 5 million impressions this last year for that term in Mother's Day week. There were 2.5 million the year before that with the COVID bump, and there were 1 million before that pre-COVID. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the categories are still grossly growing, huge amounts of opportunity. So if you've tapped out, you can't grow any further, then check out the international markets. But there's just a lot of shipping hassle, supply chains a wreck. It's not the best time to expand in international, in my opinion. I have 2 minutes. I have a hard stop today that I have to get to. So I'm looking down to see if we have any other member questions I need to prioritize. Looks like Dr. Cause has got one. Thanks for the session today, Pope. No question. You're the number 1 on Amazon Q&A. Cheers and appreciate the hard work, boss. You're very welcome. If you liked today's session, please feel free to write a comment. Helps us out with the YouTube algorithm, even if you just say thanks or something like that. And if you know anybody that would make a great chief of staff, I am hiring a chief of staff right now to help us manage the people. It's all about the people. Looking for a Dr. Wendy Rhoades out there. If you know somebody that would fit that bill, extremely impatient, detail-oriented, slightly driven, and extroverted. That is the personality type that I'm seeking for this particular role. If you know of anybody, have them send their resume over to chief@myamazonguy.com, and we'd be happy to get introduced to them. My name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. Pleasure talking to you guys today. If I missed your comment, make sure you post it in the comment section. I'll come back to it, see if I can get to it later on today. Thanks so much for the session. You guys all have a good one.